Hi there. My name is Steve. I like to be called Stephen Truthful. Because I don't lie. I always tell the truth. And I want to share with you today something that I've experienced now for 40 years of my life. Since I was born till now. And I'm hoping that when I share this story with you, you're all going to understand the nature of yourself, your true self, and why you're here, and why the world's gone mad, completely mad and insane. Why the humanity as a whole, and people individually, are behaving with certain negative behavioural traits, concepts in their head, urges that they sense within themselves, that make them go around in this environment of cause and consequence, where negative leads to negative and positive leads to positive, and can only permeate negative actions, negative words and negative deeds that hurt and harm other people, while at the same time being blind to it, because the brain rationalizes that these traits, these concepts that they're experiencing are the consequence of other people doing stuff to them. As we get into this, we'll realise it's not true. This is about what doctors describe as a personality disorder. That people out there are schizophrenic, emotionally dysfunctional, mentally dysfunctional, etc. So all the psychological psychiatry terms. Now, I'm going to tell you now, that none of that's true. No single vessel body person, is mentally ill or dysfunctional in any way, shape or form whatsoever. That when a person is how they were intended to be originally, there are no negative behavioural traits, negative personality disorders or anything else. And what is actually occurring to us all is we are literally being fooled into permeating a personality of a certain person, and mistaking it for our own personality. Seems crazy. Now, I get dismissed a lot for being insane, crazy, a lunatic, and all other such expressions. So I'll just share it with you, and you can decide for yourself if what you're hearing is the rantings and ravings of a nutcase, or whether or not that what I'm sharing with you, is real. It is occurring in this reality at the moment, and it is what is affecting everybody. Me, you, your mum, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, are all displaying an outward personality and reacting to urges within them, to automatically behave in ways where nothing good can actually come of the consequences, because of the initial intentions are negative. Now, we live in a mathematically perfect environment where everything in nature is mathematically perfect according to the quantum physicists. That anything that is natural, the equations and the understanding when you study them, prove that everything is so perfect that there is no room whatsoever, for any chance or variation of chance. that there is no evolution. You know, that everything has been created with a perfect intention behind it. And that we ourselves are created perfectly. And we should be here on this earth. Yeah, mind, body, soul, walking around in a perfect environment. And the only sensations we should actually be experiencing on a day-to-day level are love, joy, happiness, etc., peace, well-being, yeah, and these sensations are not stimulated through any kind of action or deed or doing anything. That these sensations come, yeah, with just having the presence of your soul in your body. Now, a lot of people don't realise it, but their real soul, their real personality is being pushed aside, and has done since you were very little, and you have been fooled instead to take on a personality imprint upon your body, that while your soul's disconnected, to run around like a headless chicken without any thought or consideration to what you're doing, yeah, and permeating lots of negative traits and behaviour that is hurting yourself, hurting your friends and family, and hurting other people. Yeah, by not being aware, yeah, by not being able to put yourself in the shoes of other people. You know, you cannot actually even see the hurt and harm that you're doing. Now, I've just spent 11 years with my soulmate, someone that I know due to the fact that I've actually been home, and we'll get to that later on, we'll talk about that later, but I've actually been home to heaven, and I've actually met God in person, and he has, over a period of many years, and many times of going back and forth, he has taught me the most incredible truth about what is going on down here on the earth, and why everybody, without themselves are realising it, yeah, are displaying, like I said at the beginning, a personality that is not their own. And trying to get a person to realise this and not take it personally, that what you're saying to them, you know, because once you think you are a certain person, that's who you are, and someone tries to tell you that you're not, and that how you're being is wrong, yeah, then you will defend this fake, false personality as if it was your own, yeah, and that all the negative urges, thoughts, behaviour patterns, traits that you are behaving and outwardly showing is rationalised completely by a denial of having any choice or will, and that you can't help but be like that because of A, B, C, D did this, and this person did that, or this circumstance didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be like this. Now, if anyone starts thinking, you know, yeah, but what do you know? Well, I've been raped, I've been battered, I've been abused before the age of 6, I've been through children's homes, I've been battered and abused in them. I was thrown onto the streets at 15, and my very first encounters with other homeless people, even though I had at the time the mental age of a child, even though I was 15, because of the trauma that had occurred to me in my childhood, stopped me from maturing and growing up mentally and emotionally into an adult. I went out wide-eyed, and within a couple of days, I found myself having to beg on the streets at 15. And when I sat down asking people for money, within about an hour of being sat down, my first experience of being homeless was a person coming up to me with a McDonald's in his hands. And he says, "Oh, are you hungry, mate?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you want my milkshake?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great, mate, thank you." and he poured the milkshake over the top of me and walked off. And everyone that was around on the street at that point in Leicester, where I was at that time, all started laughing at me. That the general public that were there, that saw it, all thought it was hilariously funny. Now, all that hurt inside my heart. It really hurt. It broke me instantly as soon as I got out there. And from that moment onwards, I spent 15 years selling the Big Issue. Not because initially I was homeless, but once I got to a point where I was stabilised in my early 20s enough, I actually decided that I didn't want to live in a flat, and I decided that I wanted to travel and live with other people that were living a nomadic lifestyle, moving around in vans, caravans, that kind of thing. We're talking travellers, not gypsies. They're two different groups. Yeah, and throughout this time of selling the Big Issue, I've sold it in London, Manchester, Newcastle, absolutely everywhere. I've had contact with millions of people, millions. Yeah, I've spoken directly, who have stopped tens of thousands of people. And I've noticed that no matter what race or country you come from, what religion you believe in, how much wealth you have, whether you're middle class, whether you're upper class, whether you're lower class, whatever your perceptions are of self, I have found that everybody is identically the same. Everybody is showing absolutely no individuality or personality in any shape or form. That everybody I've met in their life has this huge, elaborate set of very complex fears, anxieties, that keep them continuing in a behavioural process that they themselves believe that is who they are, and they cannot get out of it in any way, shape or form. That there is no positivity, and there is nothing good about life, being themselves and relating to other people and stuff like that. Now, I know a lot of you sat there have gone out, looked into all kinds of conspiracies and stuff like this, Freemasons, NASA, Flat Earth, all kinds of stuff, cloning, human cloning, Cainites, etc, etc, etc. And even though that information is all out there, and there are lots of people I know that are listening to all that stuff, you know, people are still not working out what's actually going wrong with everyone. Please excuse me while I light my cigarette. And I'll just say now, while I light this cigarette, right? I'm not a holy person by a long shot. I'm not a righteous person by a long shot. I have permeated this personality that we're about to talk about myself for most of my own life. And I have hurt and harmed and done things to people that I deeply, 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 deeply regret now that I am aware of what I was doing, what I was permeating, and why in those moments I was not able to rein myself in and prevent myself from actually doing, in an automatic fashion, through repetition, every single day, the same negative behavioural traits, attitudes, uncaringness, disrespectfulness, while all at the same time in my head thinking there's nothing wrong with me, that I'm a totally fine person like everybody else. Everyone else is fine, it's just the way of life. You know, people are negative. It's a hard world, it's a hard life. It makes sense that we all don't care and give a shit about anything but ourselves. But it's not true. No, so don't think that I'm preaching to you. Don't think for 1 second that I'm getting on some kind of moral high horse, yeah, and trying to tell you how it is and how it isn't. Yeah, all I'm doing is going to share my life experience and the conclusions that I've come to, in the hope that you yourself will consider. Take time to think about what I'm saying. Yeah, and look at yourself and look at your life and see if what I'm talking about is actually affecting you too. 1 second. Now, this all goes, what I'm talking about is so interwoven. It's interwoven with everything. Like, for instance, randomly, take Christmas. We all celebrate Christmas, right? We all celebrate some dude with a big white beard, right, who likes to turn up into good boys and good girls' rooms, yeah, and put a gift there. And we celebrate this every Christmas. Now, that being has turned up when you are little, a guy with a white beard, and he has left you a gift inside your rooms, your inner rooms, your inner space inside yourself. Now, you're not aware of it yet because you're blind, but you have a mind and a soul, and you're not experiencing your mind and soul. You're not seeing what your mind and soul is seeing. If you could see what your mind and soul sees while it's connected to your body, you will have access to seeing a whole wider spectrum of light than what you see with just your eyes. And certain beings that are invisible to you now, because your mind's eye is shut down and your soul is pushed out of your body, you're not able to see them. But there are here angelic beings and disembodied spirits that once had bodies but now they don't, yeah, that are floating around as souls in their billions, yeah? And they're on a mission to survive. Now, the human soul and mind, yeah, is fed by a light and an energy known as love. Yeah, and it maintains your existence constantly, all the time. And that energy comes from the Creator, and He maintains your soul and makes sure it remains constant. It has a source of energy that keeps you burning bright. Now, there are beings here who have been created that, unlike us, we need love to maintain our existence. We need love for light, yeah? It's an energy, and when it's present, yeah, you get the sensations of happiness and joy and love and everything else. You can't find that outwardly through any experience outwardly. No relationship, no nothing, no sports, nothing you do. You will not feel happiness and joy and love, yeah, until your soul is actually residing back in your vessel. But you've been pushed out, you've been pushed aside. And the reason being is your vessel creates energy. And there are beings here, in order to maintain their existence, yeah, they need the opposite to love, because they were created out of spite. They need spite. They need what the Bible describes as sin. The word sin doesn't mean to do right or wrong. The word sin is a word for dark energy, dark mass. What has been created at CERN, in their big superconductor, what they keep telling you on the news, oh, we're looking for this dark energy, this dark mass. They need this, yeah, to maintain their existence. And that's because God, the Creator, sorry, not God, mustn't use the word God, we'll come into the word God later. The word God means the devil. But the Creator himself, the Father who fathered us, created this perfect environment. These beings that have been created, He can't maintain their existence because the energy they require, He himself cannot create that energy himself because He is a being of pure love. But these beings that are here didn't ask to be created. It's not their fault that their nature is spiteful and hateful, resentful, etc., etc. They're paedophilic, murderous, all the worst of the worst that you can think of. Yeah, it's their nature. But they have a right to live. They have a right to exist. Because they didn't ask to be born. Like God didn't ask us, do we want to be created? No, He created us. And now He's, as far as He's concerned, responsible for taking care of us and loving us for eternity and making sure nothing bad happens to us in any way, shape or form. To our soul, that is. The body, you've got to remember, it's just a vessel for the soul. But these other beings, they need energy. So God is allowing them. Yeah. Not just them, but the being that created them. God is allowing them. And these disembodied spirits that we shall call the Nephilim. Yeah. To do what they're doing to us. To put a pin dot of spite inside a box. Inside your vessel, which is a temple. And when you open your mind's eye, a temple is a building you enter into. Yeah, when you open your mind's eye, you'll be able to go inside your body. And you will be able to see that your body, yeah, is shaped like a temple. You're in a space. And the reason being is, if you go home and meet the Creator Himself, He sits on the top of Mount Zion in a temple. And He does so because He shines so brilliantly bright that in order for the rest of us to shine in heaven, yeah, and define ourselves so we're not drowned out by His brilliance, He deliberately resides in this temple where we can go and see Him anytime we want. Now, you can go and see God today in person. Absolutely in person. You can go into your vessel. There's a room in your heart with a door on it, and He's knocking on that door. And when you open that door and go through it, you go to heaven, you go home. You'll be taken to Mount Zion, where you have the opportunity, before you go into the temple, yeah, to offload all the negativity or confusion. You'll get a chance to understand the true nature of yourself and where you're at in your journey at the moment. And then you will rise up, and then you will go in, and you'll be in the presence of God. And the most amazing thing will happen. In order for you to be able to stand in the presence of God, because He is so brilliantly bright, yeah, without being dissolved yourself, your own light in His, He will dim Himself to your level. He will shrink Himself to the point where you're able, yeah, to stand in His presence. Yeah, He loves you that much. Yeah, He comes down to you, down to your level. Yeah, and He will tell you everything you need to know about why you chose at this moment in time to come to a womb, be born into this earth, and experience the consequences of the actions of a being called Lucifer, who has come down to this earth himself and has created beings that God forbid. But even though God forbids something, it doesn't mean that you can't do it. Yeah, He's asked you not to, and so God says, I forbid this. Yeah, He's saying, I'm asking you, I'll give you your life, don't do this. Because if you do this, you're going to hurt and harm the stuff that I've created, that I love. And I will protect what I love. Yeah, jealously protect what I love. Yeah, so please don't do that. So, yeah, it's, well, you can only ask. Because once you give someone free will, they can do whatever they want, whatever they like, whenever they want. Yeah, that's the nature of being a free will being. Yeah, God can only ask us not to do stuff. Can't prevent us from doing it, because that means we don't have free will, and that would make Him a liar. Now, when God decided to let us have this earth and have complete free will and the right to do whatever we want and please, certain beings that were created before us, that God created to serve us, thought and decided that it was wrong to let us have this free will without any knowledge and understanding to begin with, to learn the wholeness of truth from scratch. because they've been taught everything already. They thought they should have the right to come down to the earth and be given all the free will to do whatever they want. And they rebelled. And he came down to the earth and he created a race of beings called the Nephilim by raping women. Cupid. The story Cupid is the story of Valentine, Val as in Valhalla, the halls of hell. Valentine is Lucifer. We celebrate him raping women when we celebrate Valentine's Day. Yeah, of coming down and created a race of beings that wiped us all out to the point where there was only a handful of people left. And so God flooded the earth and he wiped them out. God didn't flood the earth to wipe us out. Yeah, he flooded the earth to wipe out these Nephilim beings because they, from the beginning of their creation to the point of the flood, had wiped out not just all of the men that God had intended to be here, but they had genetically corrupted life forms. They mixed the DNA of all kinds of animals with one another. They did all kinds of bad stuff. Yeah, so God was left with no choice but to wipe them out. I'm going to have a break. I'll get back to you in a sec.